Guys, I did it! I finished Kingdom of Ash! Welcome back, you guys. My name is Mandy. It's been a hot minute because I've had no internet, but today we're gonna be talking about the Throne of Glass series. All right, I'm back. And so, like I said, today we're going to be talking about the Throne of Glass series. Now, you may be wondering, Mandy, where are the first 3 books? Why don't you have them with you? Why aren't they in your thumbnail? They're at a friend's house. Because this is a 7-book series and there is a lot to talk about. I will be talking about some books more than others. Most likely my more favorite books than my least favorite books. I kind of will just go through my least favorite books faster. For any of you guys who don't know what Throne of Glass is, how can you not? Because it's been around forever. I have a lot of things to say about these books. So, let's get started, shall we? Okay. First book, Throne of Glass. This is the first book in the series. I didn't love this book. I didn't even really like it a lot. And I don't know, I can't really even explain. I didn't write down a lot of notes. I guess I just don't like this whole competition to become a king's champion, because I've read that in so many different books and stuff, and I don't like competition style books. I don't care about them. So that was probably just the biggest reason why I didn't care about the first book. Also, I hated Dorian. And let me just say, real quick, I hated Dorian in the first book. I hated Dorian in the second book. And I continued to hate Dorian in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th book. He was a useless character. Damn, that was harsh. But I had to say it, I had to get out of the way. All these books, Dorian is going in the dislike column. All of them. I'm sorry. If you like Dorian, cool. But to me, he was just a completely useless character. That's all I gotta say about that. So, you might ask yourself, why did you finish the series if you didn't like the first book? Well, basically, I just wanted to know what the series was about. I had never read it. Everyone has read it. Everyone knows what goes on. I don't. I was just sick of not knowing. So I continued on and I read Crown of Midnight. I was dreading reading this book because since I didn't like Throne of Glass, I was just worried that I wasn't gonna like this book. But, dun dun dun, this is actually one of my favorite books in this series. Why do I like this book? Okay. The writing improved dramatically. It got so much better, just so quick. Really happy about that. The characters felt more real and human. The first book, I didn't really like any of the characters. They just felt too, they were trying too hard to be characters in this different world. They weren't real enough. In this book, it gets real. So, I don't have a lot of dislikes. I actually have more likes than dislikes. Loved Kael and Selena's relationship. I thought it was good. I thought it was real, and it wasn't like the first book where Dorian just madly fell in love with her, just out of nowhere it seemed. In this book, it actually felt like Kael and Selena's relationship was real, and it had a good pace, and it felt like it could have been a real relationship in the real world. I just really like that. Oh yeah, I forgot really to mention on the lines of this, the biggest reason probably why I hated Throne of Glass was because of Dorian's and Selena's relationship, because it was love at first sight kind of trope, and I just hate that. And it just felt so sudden. One chapter he didn't even like her, and the next he was in love with her. Did anyone else feel that same way? I don't know, maybe it's just me. I loved the whole story of this and the plot. I thought it was so much better than the first book. It was actually I don't know, it was so much better. I really, really like this book. I loved Nehemia. She was great. She was not perfect. She made mistakes. And I don't want to give too much away yet until I get to more books, but you kind of get more of her motivation of who she is and what she's doing in this book. So I really enjoyed that. And one of the biggest reasons why I loved this book a lot was the reveal of who Selena was. I found this really interesting because in most books, either the reader and the character don't know who they really are in this kind of like, true heir to the throne kind of trope. And this book, the reader doesn't know, but Selena knew all along who she was. I really, really thought that was a good twist. But, she never even mentions it in the first book. She doesn't mention it at all through the second until the end. And it kind of like, I already like kind of knew, like, of course she's going to be like this big character. Of course she's going to be a queen. But I really thought going in this book that she would be a queen just because of people who like follow her. I thought she would just be a queen, like declaring herself a queen because she's so cool. But she actually is like the true heir to the Terrasen throne, and she knew that all along, and she just created this Selena Sargothian persona to hide that. And I just thought that was really cool. And I really liked how she gives Kale like a clue, like, I'm not saying it to your face, but this is who I am. Go figure it out yourself. And he does, and I really like that. Okay, the third book, Heir of Fire. I don't have much good to say about this book. I hated this book. I hated this book a lot. It was boring. It was pointless. I feel like I'm being really harsh. I'm sorry. This is my honest opinion. Everyone's opinions are different. But the only saving grace in this book for me was Rowan. And basically, like at the end, when Selena, or Aileen, she frees Rowan from Maeve. Like that was just the highlight of the book, and that was the only good part of the book that I liked. The main dislikes in this book that I had was Aiden, Kale, and Ren's storyline. Also Dorian, who's Dorian in this? He doesn't exist to me. It's just pointless, stupid. He's just a stupid character. Okay, we've already established that I don't like Dorian, so I'm not gonna trash him anymore. Okay, I'll try not to. But no, Aiden and Ren and Kale's storyline, it was just, I felt like they were just sitting in rooms talking about the rebellion without actually doing anything. They were just getting together in meetings and talking. They didn't do anything. Like, I felt like they did nothing. So that was a big problem for me because even though I like these characters, I didn't like the story, and I didn't like what they were doing in the story and the plot because they weren't doing anything. Also, I didn't really like the whole Selena has to train, storyline. Like, I get it. Like, of course she has to train and control her power that she's suppressed for so long. But I've read stuff like that 1,000,001 times. And I do acknowledge that these books came out a long time before any of the true heir to the throne tropes other books came out. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. Also, another big problem I have with this whole series is the witch storyline. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't care about the witch storyline at all. When they were first introduced in the book, it was kind of out of nowhere, right? And I dreaded every chapter I had to read about the witches. I didn't care about them in the third one, and I don't care about them in the rest of the series. I just don't find it, like, I don't like them. I don't. Does anyone else feel this way? That the witch storyline was kind of just pointless, I guess. I don't want to say pointless because in the end book, they do help. I'll go into that later, but like, it was just so boring, and I didn't care about them at all. Okay, and the next book, which I actually have with me this time, Queen of Shadows. This is the fourth book. This is where things start getting interesting. But again, I have a lot of problems with this book. I have a lot of problems with all the books. But we'll get into that on my final thoughts. Okay. Sorry, I need my notes. I just can't remember. The book started kind of all blurring together after the third one because it's a long series and there's a lot that goes on, so kind of just blurs together. If I get anything wrong from book to book, just let me know, because it's all a jumble in my head, and I tried to just differentiate between all 7 books, but it was kind of hard sometimes. So again, if I get anything wrong from book to book, let me know. This book, I honestly don't remember a lot of it. This one, what I do remember about this book, and this is a big dislike, is I hated Selena and Kale in this book. They became 2 completely different characters than the first 3 that I was like, what? Like, Selena was so cruel, and like, I hated her. I hated her pretty much the whole first half of this book. I hated her. She was so mean and cruel. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And then KO, on the other hand, he sees how awful Selena is being, and he really hates her. So he sees what she's doing, and he's like totally hating her for it, which I get. Okay, KO, but like, he completely like does a 360 and just doesn't even want to be her ally. And I mean, like, I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. Again, majorly disliked the witches. There's not more I can say. I hated the storyline of the witches. It was boring. I didn't care about them at all. And I didn't want to read anymore, but of course you have to get to the end. You just have to read it and get through it. So I did, but I did not enjoy it. What I liked about this book was how Selena, who now goes by Aileen, which is her birth name, she actually starts embracing who she is, and she actually starts doing something to get her kingdom back. This book also introduces Elide. Elide, is that how you say it? Elide Locken, her cousin, Aileen's cousin. And you kind of realize Elide has like witch blood in her, like from way back when, from a descendant. I don't know. I don't really know. But that doesn't really amount to anything. The only reason I feel like the author added that in was to get the witches more on Alide's side and to save her, which they do. The witches save her. Manon is like the main character for the witches. She saves Elide. But again, that doesn't lead to anything. I just didn't feel like it was needed. That's what I'm trying to say. What else I liked with this book? I liked how Aileen finally kills her old assassin, leader, trainer, whatever you want to call him. I love that, and she finally, like, gets her revenge, gets justice, because now he can't hurt her, and now he can't train any other innocent people. Also, this introduces Lysandra and Evangeline in this book. Evangeline is under Arobyn's employment as courtesan, and she's also a shapeshifter. She can shapeshift into different things. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, right? And I really liked Lysandra. I liked her in the rest of the series because she actually was there for a reason and a purpose, and she was a great character, and I really liked her. And that is about like all I remember from this book. Again, there's so many things that happen. There's so many characters. There's so many like different storylines. Like, it all blurs together. And next is Empire of Storms. This is probably my second favorite, if not my first favorite book in the series after Crown of Midnight. This book was awesome. I really liked this book. There's a lot of things I liked about this book. Let me get my notebook and we shall talk about it. First, let's just talk about some dislikes, just get them out of the way, and then we can talk about the good things after that. What I didn't like is Maeve, the fairy queen. I didn't like her for obvious reasons. She's evil, but she also, like, her motivations were kind of weird. I didn't really understand. I get more of her in, like, the rest of the books going on, but you don't really know everything until the 7th book. But also, I just don't know why. I'm just skipping straight towards the ending because it was one of my dislikes, but I don't know why Maeve threatened to take Elide away to be tortured. Like, why did she want Ellie? I don't understand that, you guys. Why did she? I don't get it. Like, did that just go right over my head? Why she wanted Ellie and not like was she just a bargaining chip for Aileen to give herself up? I don't know. I think that's it, but like, it still doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand. Also, as I was reading along after Crown of Midnight, I realized Nehemia is basically not mentioned a lot after that. Her city is never really mentioned again, and she's never like they don't really become allies. Like Aileen never seeks them out to become allies. I just thought it was weird, given how much Nehemia gave up her life to help save her city, and I just didn't understand why they weren't mentioned more, or why Aileen doesn't seek them out as allies. I also don't understand why Aileen let Maeve take her at the end of the book. Maybe that went over my head too. I can't remember. Like, I can't remember, and I don't understand how or why Aileen just let herself be taken by Maeve. I don't get it. Now, this is neither a dislike or, a like. It's just kind of something that I want to point out, that this book gets a little romantic, for lack of a better word. I could use the word smutty. It gets a little intense in the intimate relation department. For me, that's something I don't mind reading. Like, I read adult contemporary romance all the time, so for me, it's fine. But I do understand if people are not cool about it, because, again, it is labeled as young adult, and so I get how some people may not like the intimacy of Rowan and Aileen's relationship in this book. I understand it, but for me, it's not an issue because I read a lot of adult romance, and that's just a part of reading adult romance, so it doesn't bother me at all. And let's talk about what I did like. First, I love how Aileen is gathering allies in this book. It wasn't expected. At the end of Queen of Shadows, she reaches Terrasen, but in this one, when they get to Terrasen, she's not welcomed by the lords there, and they don't recognize her as the rightful queen, so she has to fight for that, and she has to find allies and people to go on her side, and I loved that. I thought that was really cool, that she didn't just get handed her throne. She still had to fight for it, and in the process, gain allies against Arwen. The evil Dark Lord or whatever. I also liked Ellie and Lorcan's storyline. I thought it was just cute. Were they necessary though to the story? I don't know. I think the reason Ellie exists in the story was for Manon, the witch, to kind of find more of her humanity, because she does help Ellie escape from Morath. So I think that was the reason Elliot existed, but I still feel like Manon could have found her humanity, and she already kind of was, through her close witch friends. So was Elliot really necessary? Was Lorcan really necessary to the story? I don't know. There were so many characters in this story, in this world, I felt a little overwhelmed. That's what I'm trying to say. So I don't know, but I still kind of liked reading about them. I am all for the whole hard-ass warrior falling for soft-spoken girl who he never thought he would fall in love, and he did, and she changed it all. I love that kind of thing. Okay, that's probably why I liked it the most. Also, Aileen in this book, I liked her. She was not cruel. She was actually a lot better, and she got her sarcasm and her snark back. I love that. One of my favorite moments is when Aileen reveals to Rolf, the pirate lord or pirate king, whatever, that she is Aileen and not just Selena. And they've had a run-in in the past, and I thought it was such a funny chapter, hearing them like banter, and him realizing that this girl from his past who destroyed a lot of his ships and everything. This assassin that he thought was just an assassin was actually a queen. I just thought it was so funny. I also really liked the Fae warriors. Ren, actually no, he's not a Fae. No, sorry, not Ren. Sorry, I'm sorry. Fenris, Lorcan, Gabriel. I feel like there's one more. Who am I missing? Obviously Rowan is one, but like whatever. Yeah, I liked them. I thought they were great. I thought they added a lot of enjoyment to the story and their personal, like, their ties to Maeve, but their true allegiance is to Aileen because she's a good person and Maeve's evil. And I just really liked that whole dynamic of it. And probably my favorite part of the story was the sea battle. I loved it. It was epic. I love, like, this is not like a good example, but like Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, how they have at the end of every movie there's this big battle on the sea. I just love stuff like that. I just love battles. I could just see it in my head. I loved everything. It was so great. Lysandra was amazing in the battle. I just loved having a battle on the sea in these pirate ships. It was so great, and it was like, it was the best part of the book, in my opinion. Obviously, like, the ending is pretty good and heart-wrenching, but this one was just, so great. And in the sea battle, you find out that, like, Aileen is super, super powerful, more powerful than just anything you could imagine. She taps into her power in the sea battle, and it was epic, you guys. It was epic. So needless to say, I loved Empire of Storms. So let's move on to the next one. Next two books in the series are Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash, and I decided to do something different and buy them in the mini size. These are really cool. Kael's story, his name is highlighted in blue the whole way, and Aileen's name is highlighted in gold. The entire, you can't see it obviously because it's really small, but I just thought these were so cute. They were so easy to like hold. It took a while for my eyes to get used to the small text, but once it did, it was easy, and they're so easy to hold. I took them to work during my break. I could just pull them out and read without having this big book in my way, so that was great. But let's talk about Tower of Dawn and how much I hated this book. Yeah, so not gonna lie, I didn't want to read this book. I dreaded reading this book. I had no interest in reading this book, but I knew I had to continue on with the story. When I got into this series, I always wondered why this book had such a different cover than the rest, and then I figured it out, and I was not happy. Now, don't get me wrong, I definitely enjoy Kael way more than I ever liked Dorian. Like, way more. But throughout the series, he kind of just started going downhill for me as a character. He was just kind of blah, you know what I mean? If you love him, that's great. Like, I'm not saying I hate him. He wasn't my favorite character. And I just didn't care. I didn't care at all. It was hard to get through this book, but I knew I couldn't not read it if I wanted to understand the next book, I guess. There's not much to say. I didn't even write notes about this one. Like, as I was writing my notes, I forgot to put this in my notes because it was so unmemorial to me. One thing I did like about this book is Urine. Is it Urine? Irene? Urine? But I really liked her. I thought she was a good character. She had this warmth to her that I really liked. She was a great healer, and she plays a big part in the next book. So, like, you really do have to read this book to finish on with the series. It is what it is. This also follows Nesrin, who becomes an ally to Kael in the third book, and her perspective and Kael's like switches back and forth sometimes, and I didn't care about her at all. But that's all I have to say about this one. All right, guys, we are finally at the end of the series, and this book I did not know was almost 1,000 pages. I didn't know that, and going into the mini version was daunting, let me tell you, because it's so much longer than I thought. It's really small text, and this took me a while to read, I'm not gonna lie. Again, there's so much that happens in this book. It just kind of blurs in my brain. A lot. Like, where do I even begin? Let's start with my dislikes, shall we? Let's do it. One of the biggest ones, the dislikes of this book, was Aileen's torture. That went on for like a couple hundred pages. I'm not kidding. It was a lot. I guess I just don't like reading about people being tortured. I think that makes me normal. I don't know. It wasn't my cup of tea, and it was really hard to read, and it was really sad to read. Another thing, I felt like, and this is just nitpicking but I felt like this was really long. I felt like the torture could have been condensed more in like 100 pages instead of like 200 pages. And I just felt like this could have been a 100-page less story, honestly. Like, sometimes it was just dragging on, and I don't know, it was almost too long for me. But that's just me nitpicking. Also, I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it 300 times. But Dorian, why, I don't know. Basically, in Empire of Storms, his city gets attacked. He's basically been king for like a couple days, and his city gets attacked, and he just ran. Like, he just escaped, and he let all his people just suffer and die in the hands of the evil Erwin. Am I saying that name right? Probably not. I'm not saying that name right. I'm not saying any of these names right. But that was just, like, why didn't he stay and fight and use his magic and his power? Like, it would have been so much more interesting if Dorian died in Empire of Storms, protecting his city with his magic. It would have been so cool, and it would actually made him a good character. But no, he just flees and runs, and I hate him. Also, on the note of Dorian, what was the point of all his magic if in the end battle he didn't do anything with it? He didn't do anything with it, did he? Like, there's a lot of things going on in the battle, the big finale, that I may have missed a couple things here and there because, again, so many characters, so many different things. But what did he do in the battle? I'm really trying hard to remember what he contributed. Also, what happened to Ardalan? But, like, what happened? It doesn't tell us at all what is going on in Ardalan. Like, I know it's not like a major, like, location, but you could maybe just mention it a bit and what Dorian's plans are with his kingdom, because I don't know. I don't get it. Also, I really wanted more of an epilogue for all the characters, because I feel like if you make this huge world and all these many characters, that people want a little bit more of a resolution to what happens to them. I'm not saying like the ending was an open ending, not at all. It was very final and resolute, and you know what happens to everyone. But I just wanted to see what happens like a year or two down the road, where they are now, kind of thing. And I didn't get that, and I was disappointed. Really was upset about. And like, it was a cool badass moment. I'm not lying. But like, why did Urena, if that's how you pronounce her name, why was she the one who got to kill Erwin? Like she's a badass healer, cool, but like, this whole series was so Aileen fought Erwin, and that didn't happen. They didn't fight at all. They like bantered, and then Erwin flies away to find Urene because he senses Urene's power, and she kills him. I guess that's my biggest problem. I wanted a final battle with Aileen and Erwin. I didn't want a battle between Aileen and Maeve. I kind of just wanted a little fight scene with Aileen and Maeve, and but Erwin is the one who orchestrated everything that happened in these books, everything. The death of her homeland, all the witches that, like, I just, why? Did anyone else get really angry about that scene in the book, or is it just me? Now, let's talk about stuff I did like in this book, because I did. I liked a lot of stuff in this book. I thought it was really cool. What I loved the most about this book is there was not just one final battle scene at the end, that the whole book is a battle, and they're continuously fighting battle after battle throughout this whole book, throughout their journey back to Terrasen. They are fighting battles, and they lose sometimes, they almost die sometimes. Like, I loved that cool dynamic, and just all the battles that I got to read about were really cool, and it was fun. I really liked it. I really liked Adian in this book. Is that how you say his name? I don't know. Again, I suck with names. He's Aileen's cousin. I really liked him in this book. He was such a perfect, like, general and just warrior in this book. I wanted to be like, yes, Aiden, high five you, because he was so cool and I loved him. He added so much to this book. Another thing, which is going to shock the heck out of you, let me tell you, was Dorian kind of redeemed himself because he found a ward key. I didn't really talk about this in the previous books because, again, there's so much to talk about, but there's 3 ward keys, and Aileen needs these ward keys to open a portal into Erwin's original world that he was from, to kind of take Erwin back into that world. I'm not explaining this right, but if you read it, you know what I mean, okay? So he redeems himself a little bit by finding the last word key that was in Erwin's tower in Morath. And thank you, Dorian. That was the most useful thing you did in this whole series. And of course, the ending was big and epic and awesome. It was great. It was almost everything I wanted. Little like hints in there. You really feel their desperation, that they've gathered all these allies from all different parts of the world, and it's still not enough people to fight Erwin's army. You really feel that desperation and that hopelessness. Even when Aileen and her army gets there, it's still not enough. When you think, you know, Aileen's gonna come and save the day, she doesn't. So I like that. I like that complexity of it. But again, I really wanted Aileen to battle Erwin, and that didn't happen. I was disappointed. I also liked how Aileen, she tries to bargain for Elena's life, her afterlife, and that doesn't work, and the gods kill Elena, and for payback, Aileen just goes ahead and kills the gods. Wasn't expecting that to happen. I thought that was really cool. And now they can't, like, pray to the gods for help, and in the process, Aileen loses her power pretty much. I love that. I thought that was so cool. Like, you expect with a story like this, with anything in movie or TVs, where this main character, heroine or hero, has all this power, and they use all that power in the final battle to, like, kill the evil guy. And this case, it didn't happen. The author took Aileen's powers away, and it was brilliant. I thought that was really cool. I also get, if you didn't like that part, I understand too. Like, I get it. I loved all the little connecting relationships. You had Elliot and Lorcan. You had Elliot, major badass in this book, by the way, major. You had Lysandra and Adian. You had, of course, Aileen and Rowan. You had the cool dynamic between Gabriel and Adian. It was fantastic. I really loved Elliot in this book because he swears off Lorcan, doesn't want anything to do with him after he doesn't help Aileen not get taken by Maeve. That's the best way I can say it. And so in this one, she's kind of like realizes that she loves him, and he's down at the battlefield injured. The dam is about to break. He's going to die if no one saves him. And none of her friends are like, yeah, I'll go get him. None of them. They feel like there's no time. Lorcan is dead in that battlefield. And Ellie is like, no, he's not. Bitches, I'm gonna go save him right now. She runs to a horse and she goes out and she saves him, and they're rushing back, and it was intense. I loved it. I loved it a lot. And Ellie, you were great in this book. And of course, who doesn't like when you finally get to the ending and the queen or the king, the rightful king or queen, finally goes to the coronation and gets the crown placed on their head and is declared king, queen or king. Who doesn't like that in a book or a movie or a TV series? I don't know, it's crazy if you don't, because I love it. And so when Aileen is finally crowned queen, I just wanted to cheer because she's been through so much, and I just thought it was amazing. I'm so glad that was included in the book and not just cut out in like an epilogue or something. Like, I'm so glad. Okay guys, I'm exhausted. So let's talk about final thoughts. I have some major dislikes about the whole series that I want to talk about, and a couple things that I really enjoyed. One of my biggest problems with the series is I felt like each book was so disconnected from the previous one. What I mean is I feel like each character in each book was so different from their previous selves in the last. And I understand that to a degree because things happen, characters can change. I just felt like the changes in their personalities and their actions were so different than the ones, like, sometimes I just felt like I was reading an entirely new series when I would start a book. And I didn't like how it felt so disconnected. Another thing I hated about this book was the witch storyline. Yes, do the witches help in the end to fight, well, some of them, to fight with Aileen? Yes, they do. But it was such a bore. I hated their storyline. I did not care about their storyline at all. Also, to tie into this, I did not care about Dorian and Manon's relationship. I said it once, twice, 300 times. I don't care about Dorian. It's one of my biggest problems with this book is Dorian. What more can I say that I haven't already said about Dorian? I didn't know going into this that there was going to be so much fae involved and that Aileen was actually half fae. I didn't know it was going to be a fae kind of book, which I guess I should have, because that's what Sarah J. Maas writes, is fae stuff. But I really wasn't expecting that. And for you guys who have watched my previous videos, I don't like fae books. I don't like books about fairies or fae. It doesn't interest me. It's not what I like to read. Fae stuff is just not my thing. Also, and this is probably gonna be like the biggest shock of all, overall this series, I don't love it. I like it for the most part, but I wouldn't consider this like one of my favorite series. Like, I enjoyed moments, I enjoyed some books, I enjoyed some parts in books, but I never really enjoyed an entire book. There was problems with every book, and usually that doesn't happen to me. Like, either I really love a book or I really hate it, but this was I have mixed feelings about this book. Another thing, it was just, I enjoyed the characters, I liked the characters, most of them. You know my feelings about Dorian. But I didn't really care if one died. Like, and they didn't. Like, that was another thing. Like, not any of the characters really died. I felt like that would have even added more of a story if she killed off some of the main characters. Basically, what I'm trying to say is this was actually a very epic book series that of course everyone has read because of it's been so epic. It just wasn't really for me. So overall, I can't rate this series as a series whole. I have rated book by book because I have mixed feelings about this whole thing. Did I enjoy reading them for the most part? Yes. Am I really happy I finally read them? Yes. Do I think I would reread them? I don't know. I wasn't in love with this series. Now I'm just rambling, so I'm gonna shut up now. Okay, guys, that's it. That is my entire thought process of these books. Of course, I could literally just go on and on and on and talk about these books because there's still so much story. But I just had to get this my thoughts on this series video out to you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had a grand time. I hope you're not too hard about certain things I said. I apologize if you love Dorian. Again, I hated Dorian. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But thank you guys so much for watching. Really, it means so much to me. And I hope you guys have a beautiful, wonderful day. Bye.